today is we're going through and fine tuning some of the things. For example, this here belongs to the trim right under the windshield. So I am going to sand this and prime it. And then Woon is going around and getting all this stuff from here, you know, in between here. So all the stuff that's left behind, like here, Woon is going through and taking care of that, so that we can be done 100% with the initial stripping and sanding. So when all that is done, I'm going to come in behind and do a little bit of sanding, but not much, because this is epoxy primer. And actually, epoxy is not a primer, it's a sealer. So because it is a sealer, when you try to sand it, it just clogs up your sanding disc. But I'm going to give it a quick smooth over, and when all of that is done, and for example, all this needs to be welded. So once all that is done, I am going to re-epoxy. I'm going to re-epoxy everything in preparation for the base coat. Now, right now, our thinking is from here up, it'll be black, followed all the way to the front, and from there down, right now we're looking at probably some shade of gray, maybe like a charcoal gray. Don't know quite yet, but something like that. And when we do it, that's the color it's going to be. But right now, black with a bottom of charcoal gray. All right. We'll continue and update you later.
Okay.
Black, red oxide, white, and gray. We're just using a general purpose sandable primer, so that once we get ready to do the final epoxy on it, we can sand any imperfection, anything that needs to be done. But this sanded out very nicely. So
Okay.
it had a few spots, like here, it had a raised spot, but yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
we'll see what happens. We'll do the best we can.
Okay.
And lucky for us, we have an expert primer painter, Woon.
It's me?
You. Yeah. So it'll be great.
Okay. Like gray hair?
Great hair. Yeah. Yeah, see, it looks pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah, and this primer here is good for metal, plastic, fiberglass. You know, so it's a general purpose, so it's good. Yeah. So there it is. We'll let it dry, right? And then we'll put it back up there.
Okay.
We'll put it back up there and screw it back in after you take care of that orange paint that's
there.
underneath and stuff.
Okay.
Now underneath here, you don't have to like go crazy with it. Just make sure that the orange is past here, because this will cover whatever's left behind.
Okay.
Yep. Okie dokie. Well, good morning, guys. So here we are again, doing a little bit of work on the bus. Now, we've run into several problems that are not major problems, but they definitely put a damper on progress. So let's start with the one that you already know about. Okay, here we go. As I've told you before, these are the wrong mounting brackets. Now I talked to the guy in Kentucky and he sent the ones that are supposed to be the right ones. So they should be here within a few days, and let's see what happens. That's one thing. So, 2. Up here, there's 2 emergency exits that could be removed and covered with just an aluminum plate, some butyl tape, some screws, and that sort of thing. But I want to do it a little bit more permanent, and I would say the right way to do it is to get some aluminum plate, because the roof is aluminum. So get some aluminum panels, cut them to whatever size they need to be, and then do some aluminum welding and get that done. Now, I don't do aluminum welding, so we're in San Antonio. The place is huge, you know, and you would figure that it would not be a difficult thing to find someone to weld the aluminum. Well, it is. And I found a guy that's not far from here, but he is I would say padding the numbers, because I asked him, that's how I started out the conversation, is what would you charge me to weld a stainless steel tank? Now, the tank, regardless of size, you have one panel that's bent so that there's only one seam to weld, and then you have the end caps. So let's just say that one of these doors was the tank. You would weld it all the way around, and then it would meet here. So you would have to weld this seam here, and then the end cap on both sides, and maybe a couple of baffles inside. So we're really not talking about a huge amount of welding. He said it would take him 30 hours of welding at $130 an hour. And I was just, I was taken aback, because 30 hours of welding, you could build this bus, 30 hours to make one tank. So it's like, no. So I asked around a few places, and everybody wants an astronomical figure for this thing. The cost is just simply unbelievable. I could not believe what these guys are asking. Now, yesterday, I went to a place to get an estimate on these. I want 9 more of those made. I don't have the estimate yet, but I did ask him about welding the 2 emergency hatches up there on the roof, and he said it would be about $500 per panel, which is, I guess it would be a reasonable amount, because they do have to bring the equipment out here. They do have to come here. you know, they do have to do all that stuff. They have to get up there, cut the panel size, all that, you know, okay. But you're talking about $1,000 to do those two panels. And he was talking about all day to do two, what I consider little holes. So I thought it was a little high. So I'm going to keep looking and see what I find. Now, until I get 12 of these to go all the way around and remove those two escape hatches up there and weld them, and then of course weld oh, here, let me show you, and weld this so I can reinstall this and put the molding back on and everything, and then remove the other side and do the same. We're not ready for paint. So yeah, so we've got those obstacles in the way. Oh, and the other thing is here, this I'm gonna have to cut a little piece here. Now the bad part about this is, let me show you. So what you would think as a easy fix is not, because this is actually riveted all the way up. So this cannot just simply be pulled out like these. This is actually bent in such a way and riveted along the way that you would have to disassemble all kinds of stuff to get this out. So the only solution that I see is, you know, you cut, stick it in there, and weld this. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to try that end over there and see what happens. And then of course we're gonna have to remove the driver's side, and the driver's side has some small little rust spots here, but it's not like the other side. So this should be a lot easier and quicker than the other side. Now, the third thing, and yeah, this, let me see. Here's the battery, and it has adjustable feet, so you can actually take these and drive them all the way in, and it makes it a little shorter. Unfortunately, I need about 35 inches so that it stands here, and you have these things which take up about an inch or so. Now those feet will not fit in between there, which, I mean, you could actually hit them down and, you know, try to get them things in there, but it's still very tight to put in here and go up this way. So, well, I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna bring them and put them here. And the reason I'm gonna put them in Bay 2 is because Bay 3 is gonna have the water tanks, and that's gonna be full. And then you have these two here. Now, if I take them things and put them in Bay 1, that's a lot of weight on that front end steering axle. And you don't want to do that. You want your axle to be whatever weight it's supposed to be, because that affects your steering, your tire wear, all kinds of stuff. And your steering tires, your steering axle is very important, because when a tire blows, it can actually pull you into the ditch flip you over and do all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. So, I'm thinking I'll move the weight back here and put them in here. But if you look here, you have this, and it goes from here all the way over to the other side with a little bit of space here, which is enough to put the battery, but it needs to be a little bit forward because you have the cables for the door, which is okay. You could get it in here, but it would have to go through the floor about an inch or so. And in order to do that, I would have to open up this floor here. Now, this is about where bay 1 is, between this window here, and this is bay 2. So I would have to open up this section from here to here, so between this column and this column here. Now, I don't have to open it all the way over, but I do have to open that little piece here, and part of it is because I need to know what's inside that box. Now, the manuals were supposed to be, and I really don't know if they were supposed to be shipped or here by September 9th, and they're not here. So they should have been here yesterday, and yeah, I don't have them yet. So if I had the manual, it would tell me, or should tell me, what's under this floor. So the issue becomes, do I cut and get in here to see what's there to mount that battery? Now, morning, Woon.
Good morning. Just go feed the pup.
Yeah. Yeah, they look happy there because they have more room.
But I think they need shade.
Yeah, they need shade. That's what I told them. We need to put a roof on it. So the reason that we're into this problem here is because we have this equipment, and I want to temporarily set it up so that I can put some panels leaning on the other side of the bus over there, and have the like maybe 4 panels or something, charge this battery, and we won't have to use this generator anymore. We could use that solar system to give us some power to use the saw, the grinder, whatever, and yeah, so we're just going to have to see what we do. But the biggest block to the show here is the welder. Now, yesterday I called the guy that supposedly has a fabrication shop that does all that, and I left a message for him, so maybe I'll chase after him today and see what the status is. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Now there are many viewpoints and many controversies on epoxy sealer that everybody calls epoxy primer. The problem comes in because it is a sealer. It doesn't have the same properties as the other primers that you can sand, that you can put Bondo on and make body repairs on. Now, some people say that even though you're beyond the time to do body work on freshly applied epoxy, Bondo will still work, and yeah, it works, the question becomes, which no one answers, is how long? How long before it starts cracking, peeling, whatever? Nobody talks about that. You can put anything on top of anything, it'll bond for X amount of time. So the best thing to do, like here, it had a very shallow scrape. So I am going to apply some body filler here, and then put some sandable primer, and then at a later time when we do a whole body epoxy, then this will be covered. Now, it's extra work, it's extra money, but in my viewpoint, in my thinking, it's the best thing to do. So whether it's true or not, you decide what you're going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this down to metal in this area, apply some Bondo, sand it so it's even with the rest of the surface, and then primer it, and at a later time, when I re-primer everything, this will get coated over and it'll be 100% epoxy.
Okay.
All right, we'll see what happens.
All right.
Okay, so this door is down to 150. And what I'm going to do now is here, I'm going to find a washer that fits in here so that this hole here is smaller. And I'm going to put Bondo here in the hole and in this seam. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And tomorrow, after it dries overnight, I will sand it down and see how it holds. And then I'll primer this whole door here. After I give it one more sanding, I'll sand this Bondo, then I'll sand the rest of the door, and then I'll primer it. This I'm going to do later because, as you can see, this is bent here. This is way too low here, so I will remove this thing. And to remove this, I have to, let me see, where are we? Yeah, have to remove these 4 screws here. I need to remove that so I can remove that metal plate there. And then I need to remove this pin here so that this comes out, so that all this can be sanded. And then you have here, and you have one over here. And what that does, it holds this pin that goes here, that holds this thing here. So those 2 bolts will take this pin out of here so that this comes out, you know. And the first thing that needs to be removed before that is that, oh, let me see, where's it? Yeah, that pin right there. And then this will come out here, and that's what will adjust this coming this way. And of course, while it's out, this will be straightened out. We'll see how it goes. All right.
There you go. There is George.
Okay.
Do the bundle there.
Now, this batch here, I just did it by guessing. The best way to do this is actually use a scale so that you mix it properly. Now, the thing is, as long as you,
Other sides have a lot.
yeah, as long as you don't use too much, it will not harden up too quick on you. Because if you, as you can see, it's starting to do this.
Means it's thick. Too thick.
It means that the hardener is getting
dry.
the chemical reaction here.
Uh-huh.
And the thing about it is that this stuff here, if you use too much, you use a little dab. Here I put 2 dabs because I wanted it to get up there quickly. But if you get it too hot, it won't give you enough time to spread this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't use enough, then it takes a long time to
Dry.
dry and set.
Mm-hmm.
But as you can see, this stuff is
Getting
setting up.
hard. Uh-huh.
You know,
And when it's setting hard, you cannot use it.
you can't use it because you can't spread it.
Okay.
Now, and like I said, the best thing to do is if you weigh it, you know exactly, and you can make it over and over and over and over. Oh, the pucks are out. You can make it over and over and over, and it's always the same. But this is just a little thing here that's very shallow. It was just a scrape.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a dent.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a scrape. So somewhere in the bus's life, they scraped this thing here. So it had to be something up high. Could have been a branch. It could have been somebody's nose. Something. But
The
it could have-
fence. The
Huh?
fence.
Could have been a fence. But it had to be poking out this way. Otherwise, it would escape the whole thing. Now see here, somewhere along the way, they hit something there and scratched it. So it's more of a scratch than it is a dent. There is actually no real dent there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put your finger on it, you can actually feel it. So I put this here and it'll dry, and when I sand it, there'll be very little left there.
Okay.
And that's just so that that scrape disappears. And yeah, so you use very, very little.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at this stuff here, it's
Already formed.
it's
Set.
see it's already hard pretty much.
Uh-huh.
Now the important thing,
Do it quick.
well, do it quick, but the important thing here is that you don't use too much, because then it doesn't give you time. And then the other thing that's important is that that you let it dry, so that when you sand it, it doesn't clog up your sandpaper, you know. And again, oh, the other important thing is you mix it in small batches.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you make this monstrous pile and it gets hard on you, you're just wasting material.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a lot of money, yeah, go ahead and do it. But if you don't have a lot of money, you can't be wasting this stuff. Now, it's not extremely expensive, but you waste a can, you waste 2 cans, you waste 20 cans, it just gets more and more expensive, you know. So, see, this stuff here is pretty much dry. As you can see, the color changed.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can make a batch that's really hot, and it does this. So, yeah. Now, over here, I'm going to put some here, about this much here.
Okay.
But as you can see, you have these holes here, and I was going to put a washer in there, but I can't find any washers that'll fit in there. So what we're going to do, and we don't have a pair of scissors, we're just going to take this plastic here, cut it so it fits here.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll do is I'll take my finger, put a little bit of the Bondo put that plastic in there so it holds it down, and then, you know, and the reason I want something here is, well, this is a big hole here. If I don't put anything in here, it'll fall back in there, and I could use a whole can and never get it to stay. So with that thing there, even if it pushes it in a little bit, it'll keep it from pushing back there, and you have enough space here where you can put your Bondo on there, and it won't be so thin that anything will crack it. Now here, I guess when they put those rub rails, I guess they decided to put this thing in here, but what it is two separate panels. You have this panel, and then you have this space here. And inside of here,
It look like silicone. I take it out
you have
before.
some kind of, it is like a silicone.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this thing up. So when I primer this is all one panel looking thing,
Okay.
and you don't have this here. You know, now later on, if there's flex in these panels and they crack, well, so be it. But hopefully with the Bondo here, the primer, and then the paint, it'll be good. And I still have to get this stuff out of here, so that when I put the Bondo down here, I can get it up here.
Okay.
Up here, I'm gonna have to wait because we need to buy whatever light is gonna go in there, unless we put the original lights back in there. And for some reason, they cut that hole. I don't remember what kind of light. But I think it had a thing like this coming out from behind, and that's probably why they did that. But either way, yeah. I'm gonna work on this, and you have, well, there, here, all the way back where these bumper rails used to go. So I'm gonna have to do all of these. And once I do this, I can see, and then with monkey see, monkey do, we'll do the rest. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
All right, we'll let you know. Thanks for watching.
ขอบคุณเจ้า
See you next time.
แล้วปะกันแฮมไมนะเจ้า
See you.
บ๊ายบาย